Today, we will be previewing Team Penske as we head into the 2022 NASCAR Cup Series season. Let's go ahead and just jump straight into it. What's going on, guys? It's Daniel, and welcome back to our video. Before we look at 2022, let's take a look back at Team Penske in 2021. Now, Team Penske, while they were not the best team in 2021, they still had a pretty solid year as a whole. They had a little bit of downfall when it comes to their standards in 2020 from 2020 to 2021, but in 2021, they still had a pretty solid year while scoring 5 victories in 2021. And on top of that, all 3 of their cars were actually able to make it to the round of 8, which they were the only team to have all of their cars make it to the round of 8, which is really, really good. We haven't seen many teams be able to make it to round of 8, all their cars. Really think the last time that happened, I believe, is 2018 when SHR did that. So even though Team Penske was a little bit down for their standards, they still had a pretty solid year as a whole in 2021. And going into 2022, they will be looking to improve and striving for more confidence in 2022. So I'm very interested to see what Penske will do. And now let's take a look at the drivers who will be competing for the Team Penske organization in 2022. The first driver we're going to be taking a look at is Ryan Blaney in the 12 car. Ryan Blaney in 2021, he had a really, really great year, having his first multi-win season by picking up 3 victories in 2021. Those coming at Michigan, at Daytona, and earlier in the year at Atlanta as well. And he was able, like I said, able to have his first multi-win season, getting his totals up to from around 5 up to 7 throughout the 2021 season. And like I mentioned, made it to the round of 8 with the potential of almost making the round of 4, but unfortunately had a really, really bad car at Martinsville, where unfortunately he was not able to make it to the round of the championship 4. But Ryan Blaney in 2021, he really had his first emerging year, and he was kind of the leader of Team Penske in 2021. And going into 2022, there are some changes that are going to be coming to Ryan Blaney, which could change up the leadership. He's actually going to have a new crew chief in 2022, as Todd Gordon is going to be going into retirement, and he's not returning NASCAR as of now. He's not returning to be a crew chief in 2022. He is going to be getting former Wood Brothers crew chief Jonathan Haas, who actually has crew chief for Ryan Blaney a couple times in the last couple years with the COVID-19 pandemic. He's been there helping Ryan Blaney, and he will officially be the full-time crew chief for Ryan Blaney 2022, which I think really is going to work wonders for Ryan Blaney, considering it seems like they've gelled together when they've worked together, especially when it's came to testing. So I think that these two are generally going to gel in 2022, and I think we can see some great stuff. Now, what are my overall expectations for Ryan Blaney going into 2022? I think Ryan Blaney is going to have a pretty solid year in 2022. I think he's going to at least score 2 victories in 2022. I think he's going to have a solid enough year, and I think he's going to be underdog to make the championship 4. But one thing I'm also wanting to see from Ryan Blaney 2022 is I want to see him dominate a lot more races like he did, because a lot of the races that he has gone on and won so far throughout his career, he's not really led a few, basically more than like 5 to 10% of races, or even more than 3 to 4% of races in a majority of his wins. But don't get me wrong, sometimes you're not going to dominate races, and sometimes drivers are better not dominating races and going out there and winning. And he's kind of like the new version of Kevin Harvick, being that kind of closer type, right? I kind of consider Ryan Blaney the closer. But one thing I want to start seeing is, can he dominate races and then close the deal? Because it's one of his biggest issues. When he dominates races, he ends up having trouble late. Can he do that in 2022, excuse me? That's one thing going to be determined. But I think he's going to win a couple races in 2022, and I think he's going to have a lot of speed. And I think he is going to become the leader of the Team Penske in 2022. So we'll have to wait and see what happens on how he will do. But Ryan Blaney is the first driver Team Penske in 2022. Next driver we're going to talk about at this team is Joey Legato, who drives the 22 car. Joey Legato in 2021 was pretty quiet throughout the season. He was, like Ryan Blaney, the other driver, and the other car we'll talk about here in a little bit, he was able to make it to the round of 8 in the NASCAR Cup Series playoffs. But he only got 1 win in 2021, and that was at Bristol Dirt. And honestly, he probably would not have won a race had Kyle Larson not had his issues with Christopher Bell. But Joey Legato was pretty quiet throughout the year, and honestly, I expected Legato to be a little bit better than he was from 2020, 2021. And I feel like he's been going on a little bit of downward trend where he has not been winning as much, really, since he won his championship in 2018. But there is still time where Joey Legato could have a major, major peak. There aren't any major changes going on with him next year. He's still going to have the same parents of Colin Presley as a spotter, and he's also going to have Paul Wolfe once again in 2022. So he's still going to have the same combination of parent, which I think also one thing that probably did affect him in 2021 was the fact that we had a lack of practice in qualifying. When you don't have a lot of practice qualifying, some drivers do better without it. Some drivers just do better with it. And I think for every driver, there's going to be a lot more confidence. And I think Legato could have a pretty solid year. So Overall, what are Joey Logano's expectations going into 2022? I think Joey Logano's expectations are he needs to win a few more races than he did. I think he's going to at least win one race in 2022, but I think that he could potentially win more than one race in 2022. Honestly, I just want to see Joey Logano get at least a few more victories in 2022 than he had in 2021. Because, like I said, he only got one victory. I think he at least gets one in 2022. But I think there potentially is a chance where he could win more races. But he had a very quiet year in 2021. Did not surprise me he didn't make it to the championship four, considering the fact that he wasn't as good as he was even to Ryan Blaney at points, even to Brad Keselowski. I would say kind of he was the middle driver of this team in 2021. But going into 2022, he's going to have to try to once again reemerge as leader of this team, considering he is getting a little bit older. He is going to be 32 in May of this year, and he'll be looking to try to get a big year in 2022. But it seems like a lot of times in the even years, he actually does much better. So I think there's a possibility that Joey Logano can do well. Plus, he has overall been a big fan of the next-gen cars. So we're going to have to wait and see what happens on how Joey Logano is going to do in 2022. But I think he could have a big year, or he may have a quiet year. Who really knows? But let's see what Joey Logano can do in 2022. And the final driver that will be driving for Team Penske 2022 is going to be Austin Cindric. Austin Cindric is going to be moving into the 2 car in 2022. He will be taking over Brad Keselowski, who's going over to RFK Racing in 2022. Now, Austin Cindric is a driver that has ran in the Cup Series. He actually made 7 select starts in 2021. He did only get one top 10. It was a 10th place at the Indianapolis Road Course. However, in the road course race, especially in 2021, except because mechanical problems cost him, in those races where mechanical issues happened, he was extremely fast and had a ton of pace. And I think that Austin could be a very, very surprising contender in 2021 and 2022. Not to mention, I think that Austin is a very, very solid and a very, very talented driver. Like I said, he could have been a back-to-back champion in the NASCAR Xfinity Series. So I think he also could have a very strong rookie year. So now let's talk about what my expectations are for Austin Cindric. Of course, I think, number one, I think Austin Cindric is going to win the Rookie of the Year. I think Austin Cindric could have one of the best rookie seasons I think we have seen in many, many years, potentially maybe since Jimmy Johnson's 2002 season. We haven't seen a rookie just immediately come in here and win races. And one of the reasons why I think that he could win multiple races, which I think he at least is going to get one victory in 2022, but the reason I think that he could win multiple races in 2022, there's one type of track that he's very, very strong at, and that is the road courses. And I know the Team Penske's program has not been amazing in the Cup Series side of things, but I think having Austin Cindric there is overall going to improve the whole Team Penske's road course program in 2022. And look at how good he's been in Xfinity Series road course racing. He's been a top 3 driver in road course races. He's had competition from AJ Allmendinger and Ty Gibbs for the last couple years, and even Justin Allgaier have been contenders. But Austin Cindric, especially on the road course race this year, had he not had mechanical problems at Run America, I think he could have given Chase Elliott a run for his money at the end of the days. But I think Austin Cindric will at least get one victory in 2022. But I think he also has a very strong possibility of winning more races. We could see a very dominant year for Austin Cindric when it comes to the road course side of stuff. But he's, of course, going to have to beat guys like Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, Martin Truex Jr., Kyle Busch, Denny Hamlin, among other road course guys, and AJ Allmendinger, who will probably be in all the road course races for Cog Racing in 2022 as well. So I'm very excited to see what happens with Austin Cindric. I think he's a driver that a lot of people need to keep their eyes on. He's also going to be working with Jeremy Bowens, who I don't think he's ever worked with Jeremy Bowens in the past, maybe in the Xfinity Series back in the day. But I think this is going to be a great combination. And he's also got Discount Tire sponsoring for like 14 or 15 races. And Menards will be sponsoring for a few races as well. So I'm very excited to see what's going to happen with Austin Cindric in 2022. He's taking over from Brad Keselowski, and I think we could see a very, very strong rookie in 2022. So hopefully Austin Cindric will do great in 2022. Overall, for the Team Penske organization, I think Team Penske is going to be a very underrated team in 2022. You probably have one of the youngest Team Penske lineups I think we've ever seen. I think this is like one of the youngest ones because you think about it, Ryan Blaney, I think, what's going to be 29 this year. Austin Cindric, I think, is 23. He'll be 24 at the end of this year. And Joey Logano will be 32 in May. So you're going to have a pretty young team at Team Penske. But I think all 3 of these drivers are really well-talented drivers. You potentially have some future Hall of Famers on this team. I think Joey Logano, we know for sure, is a Hall of Famer. It's possible Ryan Blaney could become a Hall of Famer if he wins a Cup Series championship and wins a lot more races. And I think Austin Cindric is someone that I think could potentially get into the Hall of Fame as well. But like I said, you have a very strong combination at Team Penske going into 2022, and I think they're going to have a great year. So Overall, I think Team Penske is going to have potentially do what they did last year. I think for sure we're going to see some good runs from them. I think Austin will potentially get at least to the round of 16. I think for sure has a very strong possibility of getting to the round of 12 in 2022. I think Joey Legato for sure makes it to the round of 8 in 2022, and I also think that Ryan Blaney will make it for sure to the round of 8 with a potential of making it to the championship 4. I just think the competition this year is really, really strong, and Team Penske has a really amazing and a really strong core lineup going into next year, and I think if you're a fan of Team Penske, you've got something to really look forward to going into 2022. Because like I mentioned here, I really think that Team Penske is going to have a very, very great and a very, very solid year in 2022. So like I said, I'm very excited to see what Team Penske's got in store in 2022. I think they're going to have a really, really strong year, and I'm looking forward to see what Team Penske as an organization as a whole can do in 2022. So, anyway, that's it for today's team preview for Team Penske. I want to thank you guys for watching. Please like, subscribe to the channel, turn notifications to be notified when a video does go live on my channel. Follow me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and support me on Patreon as well. Let's go jump over that and comment your thoughts on today's video. What are your expectations for Team Penske in 2022? Do you think they're overall going to improve in 2022 and do better than they did last season in 2021? Or do you think they're not going to do as good in 2022 as they did in 2021? Let me know in the comments below. Tomorrow on the channel, we're going to discuss a lot more about the Let's Go Brandon situation and all that other stuff's been kind of going on. There's been a lot more updates on that. We'll also get back to the regularly scheduled program. The first NASCAR news video, you guys probably been waiting for that. Those NASCAR news videos return to the channel tomorrow. The first official NASCAR news video drops on the 4th, which is tomorrow. So be sure to check it out because we're going to get a lot to talk about from that. There's been a lot of updates in regards to that. I'm on some other stories. But anyway, like I said, I want to thank you guys for watching today's video, and I'll see you guys next time for some more great and awesome NASCAR and other motorsports content on the channel like this. Take care, everybody.